question came in this week based on the topics that we were talking about last week on Sunday night, and it was about the topic of judging, because I was talking about how the Bible actually doesn't tell us not to judge, it tells us how to judge. And so clearly the question came in, this person's highly intelligent, they know what the Bible says about things, and they said, well, then how do we judge Christians? Because I told followers of Jesus to not judge people who are not following Jesus, because the golden rule when it comes to judgment is you judge the believing and not the heathen. Remember that? Judge the believing and not the heathen. And so essentially what that means is you don't spank other people's kids. You spank your own kids. You don't spank kids at other families. That's just called abuse. But for the believer, you are able and you're actually encouraged to judge within the family, but don't judge outside of the family. So clearly the question came in, how do we judge other Christians, or how do we judge Christians in general? And the answer to that is first found in Matthew 7. It says this: do not judge, or you will be judged. For in the same way that you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure that you use, it will be measured to you. So why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank that is in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take that speck out of your eye, when the whole time there's a plank in your own? You hypocrite. First take the plank out of your own eye, then you will see clearly to remove the speck of sawdust from your brother's eye. See, in this passage, I know it starts with Jesus saying, do not judge or you will be judged. That doesn't necessarily mean you should never judge, because we make judgments all the time. He's just actually telling us how to judge. And Jesus being a master, what's the guy who works with the wood? The master carpenter. Yes, thank you, Joey. Jesus being a master carpenter uses the illustration that he's very familiar with. Sawdust in the eye is something that's very common when you're building houses. And so it would be very helpful to take the speck of sawdust out of your brother's eye if your brother was like, oh, I got sawdust in my eye. But it would be very unhelpful if you were to do that while the whole time you had a plank coming out of your own. So Jesus makes it clear how to judge. And the human condition allows us to be very critical, unfortunately. And it's easy to hold up a magnifying glass to other people's eyes, because that would be the only way that you could see a speck of sawdust. But I think we're all carrying around this magnifying glass, and Jesus tells us before we pick up the magnifying glass, we need to pick up the mirror as well and check to see what's hindering us from seeing the picture very clearly, so that we can actually help a brother or sister. And I guess another point I want to bring up is that you're helping a brother or sister, not someone who's subordinate, not a child. You're coming alongside somebody with the equal value in order to help them accomplish the same goal and mission that you are. And so it's somewhat of a humbling posture that you would use if you're going to judge somebody or help them in this matter. So remember this: Jesus doesn't tell us not to judge, he tells us how to judge. And secondly, before you pick up the magnifying glass, Jesus reminds us to pick up the mirror.